so excited today to have two guests, Joshua Calhoun and Jennifer Walcik. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually perfectly, but some people call it say Walsick, but Walchick is the right pronunciation.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're here to talk about our internship experience with Rejoice Counseling Apostolate. And so Joshua is a graduate student and he is supervised by Dr. Jessica Barboza, who is a marriage and family therapist supervisor. And Jennifer is a licensed professional counselor supervised by Dr. Larry Farini, who is a professional counselor supervisor. We're very glad to have you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Happy to
Yeah.
be here.
Thank you.
So to start off, could you tell us a little bit about yourselves? We can start with Joshua. Things we'd been interested in is where are you studying? How many semesters of internship have you been with Rejoice? What locations, and if you did anything before counseling, I'm assuming you might have had a life before you got into this.
Yeah, so as Liz was saying, my name is Joshua Calhoun. I am finishing up my master's in clinical mental health counseling through Divine Mercy University. It's a college based out of Virginia, but most of the program's online. There's a couple residencies that I flew up to Virginia for, which was a blessing. But yeah, so I'm finishing up my degree with DMU. I should graduate in September, so I'm really excited about that. I've been with Rejoice since let's see, I want to say it was around August of 2024. I did my practicum in the fall, and then I'm about to finish the first part of my internship with Rejoice, and then I'll do the second part of my internship over the summer. I've been at both St. Bartholomew's in Katy. That's primarily where I work out of, but this semester I started working out of we have a secondary office as well with there's like another branch of Rejoice called the Leitare Group. So we have our own office also based out of Katy. It's a little bit down the road from St. Bartholomew's. So I typically work there Thursday mornings. Um, and then let's see, before doing counseling, I did youth ministry for almost 10 years. I worked with two different groups. One was Net Ministries, which is like a retreat-based youth ministry group out of St. Paul, Minnesota. So I worked with them for 2 years and then did another 7 or 8 years with a group out of Bryan, Texas, called Ablaze Ministries, formerly um, Collaborative Catholic Formation Ministries.
They picked a much better name
Right,
when they
did
shortened it.
yeah, that rebrand was much needed. Yeah, so I have a ministry background, and that was one of the reasons that I was looking into working with a Catholic organization, doing my internship. So that's been a blessing to get to connect with Rejoice in that way.
That is awesome, Joshua. Oh, and where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Lake Jackson, Texas, which is like an hour south of Houston.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're glad to have you today. Jennifer, could you share with us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am graduating in May, clinical mental health and counseling degree from the University of St. Thomas. I've been in the program for 3 years, and I have been blessed to be an intern with Rejoice for my entire 4 semesters of internship, and it's been wonderful. I see clients at St. Ignatius of Loyola up in Spring on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And what else? What did I do before counseling? I did a lot. I actually went to school to be in the maritime industry, and I was a marine broker for many years. Found it was not a great fit for me, and decided to transition into teaching, which was a great fit. And I taught middle school science for 11 years, kind of took a break in between, had a couple of kids, and came back to teaching. And while I was in the classroom, I really saw a need for mental health, especially in our youth. And I decided that let's give it a try. So I ended up here.
That is amazing. Yeah, we all have different backgrounds and stories, and you glossed over your kiddos, but I think that's the number one mission, you know?
Yes, it is. And that's, I mean, really, that is my priority, which is kind of how everything fits into my life. That is, it's got to fit in with that being the center.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. So, why did you guys get interested in Rejoice as an internship location? Either of you, if you want to go first, Joshua, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah, so kind of like I was saying in my introduction, I was looking for a Catholic group to work with, kind of from my ministry background. I'm a devout Catholic myself, and there's a couple different groups in the Houston area where I live. I live in Sugar Land, so there's a couple groups in the Houston area I was looking into. Rejoice was one of them, and found out that I actually had kind of a mutual connection with Dr. Stravich. From whenever I worked in ministry, like we knew the same person, and I think we had connected on LinkedIn at one point. And so yeah, so I reached out to him and was able to get an internship with Rejoice. Yeah, so it's been a blessing to get to incorporate my faith into counseling. And not everyone that comes to counsel with me is interested in incorporating their faith in the same way. Some people are looking for more faith-based counseling than others. But it's still a blessing that I have kind of that background and that framework that I can touch on in counseling, and it's a worldview that a lot of my clients have in common. So.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool how God put you there, like connected you with. If for y'all who don't know, if you don't know, Chris Stravich is our president and the founder of Rejoice. So like how it's kind of interesting how you already had a connection, and then yeah, that's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jennifer, how about you?
Well, I wasn't raised Catholic.
Oh wow, okay.
I converted after my second son was born. And it was a true conversion. I became on fire,
Oh
and
wow.
it just became a huge part of my identity, my Catholic faith. So when the opportunity, I went to one of the career resource fairs that they had at the university, and Cindy was there representing Rejoice, and
Okay.
I met her and I thought, well, this is really cool. I could combine both counseling and my Catholic faith and share that with individuals. It really was a blessing. My Catholic identity guides all parts of my other identities. So it made sense. It really made sense when when I had the opportunity.
That's really cool. I mean, oftentimes converts are the best Catholics,
Mhm.
honestly, because you already know the Bible a lot of times, very versed in apologetics, and that's
I
cool how
definitely, I definitely quizzed my husband was when I was going through the process because he was the cradle Catholic. It was
yeah,
fun.
and he's like, I don't know, go look in the catechism, right?
Yep, it was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then God put Cindy Contreras in your path. She's a counselor with Rejoice. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, so what is something that you guys, each one of you, we'll start with Jennifer this time first, just to mix it up. Have anything you've appreciated about your internship with Rejoice?
The being able to use prayer and sometimes, clients prefer it, sometimes they don't, but if they do, being able to find that time to pray with them um was a real blessing. And that was um just something I would look forward to, and then they would look forward to, and it was I think something that was unique to Rejoice is to be able to pray both with them and for them.
Yeah, I think it might be a good moment to interject for anybody who doesn't know, like the model of Rejoice Counseling. We partner with parishes throughout the Archdiocese of Houston, primarily, Galveston, Houston. But also we have anyway, branching out a little bit, but not to get lost in the details. So we partner with parishes to offer discounted services at the parish for their parishioners And then anyone else who wants to come can come to our parish or can go to the Lake Tari group. But it allows you to counsel Catholics, right, who are seeking counseling from that perspective. So it's a beautiful kind of thing. Joshua, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. Um, yeah, so being able to bring that faith-based background into the counseling experience has been such a blessing. And like Jennifer said, I have been able to pray with some of my clients. I've been able to encourage them to incorporate faith-based practices um, into their goals, like daily habits of prayer, going to Eucharistic adoration, attending Mass with their community, different things like that. So I'm able to touch on things that are more faith-based and incorporate those goals into their counseling experience to better support them, which I think speaks to a greater Catholic Christian perspective on the human person, that we really do need to be connected with Christ to bring true and lasting healing to those people.
Mhm.
Something else I've really appreciated is the community that we have at Rejoice. There's been various opportunities to stay connected with each other. We've had different retreats. There's a book study that we're trying to do right now. So yeah, just different ways that Rejoice tries to incorporate that faith-based community that also draws on our commitment to each other as counselors.
Wow, that's cool. Well, I'm feeling called to share a little bit of my experience, even though I'm not an intern. Because what I have also appreciated are the same things that you guys brought out, that the program I went through was not Catholic at all. It was a totally secular school in which Catholic values were pretty despised, if not persecuted. And so I really felt very at home among the counselors that I was with, knowing that I was free to counsel people according to the values that they would have coming to me as a Catholic counselor. And so yeah, it kind of ties together that community of like-minded counselors who are also trying to help people based on a Catholic vision of the person. And then people who are like, this is the main reason I got into counseling. It was people who people who have a prayer life, people who want to grow in their faith, and people who want to grow in their family life and virtue, but are getting stuck somehow and for some reason. And usually that's like some psychological dynamic that they haven't figured out yet, or some kind of relationship dynamic that's going on that they don't really realize is happening. And so being able to help people like I think it's Thomas Aquinas says, like, first the human, then the spiritual, or grace built on nature, right? So first helping people on a human level so that they can flourish in their spiritual life. So anyway, I just said the same thing you said in more words. So let's go to the next thing, which was in general, but without giving too many specifying details, because obviously we need to keep confidentiality of our clients. What types of issues did you help people with, or have you, or are you still? Because you guys are still finishing up your internships. Joshua, dun dun dun, whoever. It doesn't.
Sure, I go first. Yeah. So I've worked with clients who are journeying through grief. I've done a little bit of work with clients who experience different difficulties in their sexuality, whether it's pornography or things like that. Some of my clients have experienced depression and suicidal ideation, things like that. I've worked with clients as young as uh, like 9, and I think my oldest client was probably in their 50s, maybe late 50s. I've worked with a couple couples as well. Yeah, so kind of a span of different types of people. A lot of them are dealing with like different like difficulties in relationships too, whether that's family relationships or romantic relationships. So that's a lot of what I've worked with.
Mhm. So you've seen individuals and couples and families. So,
Hmm.
oh, that's great. Yeah. Jennifer?
I would say, kind of, when I reflected on this question, it came down to the tool, the feelings wheel, and helping clients just acknowledge and get in touch with those feelings, both positive and negative, and let them know that it's okay. It's okay to feel these feelings and just kind of grow from that. I like to use a RAIN technique, which is recognize, acknowledge, investigate, and nurture. And so getting my clients to that nurturing message that they need to hear, I found to kind of be an overall of what I'm helping my clients with.
That's awesome. I love that. I hadn't heard of rain before, but that's a great way to work on like embracing our emotions. I do think that's something that as Catholics, a certain population of us can struggle with, because it's not often that we hear that our emotions are just information. It's not often that we hear that our emotions are neither bad or good. They just are there, right? And oftentimes as Catholics, we can think that just to feel the emotion is already starting to sin, which is not necessarily true as long as we don't act on it. So yeah, I'm thinking it's Sue Bars and Conrad Bars. They're the first like true Catholics that I've heard that have talked about emotions in that way. So they're a great resource. I had heard of similar stuff, but from kind of new agey people. But definitely recommend Conrad Barr's writings on that. That's cool. So overall, I guess what you guys were saying in that is that at Rejoice, you're able to see like a really wide variety of clients. Like I think what's amazing, um, it is a great place for people to start because you're gonna see stuff that's a real mental health crisis, like someone who is really seriously mentally ill. I think Joshua, you got thrown in to a situation similar to that when you just started.
Mm-hmm.
But you had accompaniment from your supervisor, of
I
course,
did.
right? So we see people who are extremely ill, but then we also see people who are suffering from not actually even suffering, like just wanting to improve their relationship or just wanting to improve their ability to handle stress or just wanting to improve their um, taking things too harshly or taking things too personally, right? So yeah, I um I didn't do my internship with Rejoice, but I did do the secondary portion, which is our licensing process, and had absolutely no trouble getting marriage and family hours, which is something that people often worry about, right? If they're getting hours. So very cool. Can you think of a moment in your work with somebody that gave you joy? Jennifer, this time, I guess.
I feel joy whenever I say that a closed session with prayer, and I pick prayer. I get emailed prayers every day, and I used to like plan because I'm a planner, and so I used to plan what prayer I was going to use that day, and then I kind of offered it up to God, and I said, you know what, put whatever prayer that I'm supposed to read that day. So I just started reading the prayer in my inbox that day. And to watch it connect with the client and the client connect to the prayer, it was special. And yeah, brings me joy.
Very cool. Joshua?
For me, I've had a couple minor clients that I've worked with that had some struggles in family relationships, and being able to see insight in like from their own perspective into their family life, and then also to see the renewed connections they've been able to make with family through counseling has been really, really a blessing for me. So I think that's something that consistently brings me joy is seeing clients, especially minor clients, make insightful connections with their family relationships.
Yeah, family's so important. And if you can help a child heal or a young person heal their relationship with their family, that's invaluable. That's
Hmm.
amazing. That is so cool. I, for me, I think feeling the joy of when you see that somebody just got a grace from God with something that you said, and you didn't even like yeah, I had no idea that was going to hit them the way that it hit them. That to me is just amazing. It's like, wow, God is using me, and that's what I asked for, right? That's so cool. Okay, well, let's check the other side of that coin. Were there any difficulties or challenges you faced in your internship, and how did you overcome those?
Well, I can go. This one's easy for me because I'm a former teacher. So I
Yeah.
come in with a lesson plan. That's my job. And so yeah, that was a challenge. Like it's my MO, I'm a planner, and I really had to let go of that and embrace it in some ways, but then also let the client lead and just go with them where they went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, letting go of control, letting go of having it all planned out.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Joshua?
I think for me, you kind of hinted at this earlier, but the very first client that I met with had a lot going on. And yeah, more serious mental health concerns. And um, I just had to lean back on my education and just my own personal coping skills in the moment to be able to like breathe through it and remain present to the client. And then being able to like speak with my supervisor about it afterwards. Yeah, so I think those are the things that I was able to do in the moment that helped me kind of overcome them. Was just to trust. There's DMU tends to talk a lot about trust in the process, and it was definitely a trust in the process moment for me. Was just trust that you are capable of this and you're where you need to be able to meet this client where they're at and to help them through it. And then to know that you can go and receive additional support from your supervisor afterwards. So
Mhm. Yeah, I remember being kind of freaked out about that whole possibility of coming up against something that I might not be able to handle. I mean, obviously, throughout your career, you're always going to be faced with new things that you might not know what to say or what to do or how to help the person. But I think what's beautiful is, I mean, I didn't do my internship with Rejoice. I did it with another group at another location, and my experience was the exact same kind of thing. But what's beautiful is we can be present to the person in that moment and love them and give them whatever kind of support that we are able in that moment. And then because we're in a moment of training, you go to your supervisor, and before you see them the next time, you then have like more resources for how to handle the situation and how to help that person. And so the way that supervision is set up is to create constant checkpoints, right? So that you can get the support that you need for each client, right?
mhm.
So very cool. Um, how about practical advice you might give any counseling students who are watching this? We can go with Joshua, since Jennifer went first last time.
Sure, I can go first. Um, Practical advice. That's a hard question because I'm like, in what context? Like, advice for what? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Something that's coming to mind for me is that you don't have to sacrifice your Catholic faith in practicing counseling. Um, so that doesn't necessarily mean working with a group like Rejoice or other Catholic groups. But if you don't like there are still ways to stay true to your Catholic faith and to be able to incorporate spiritual practices into your counseling sessions, obviously informed by the client's goals and things like that. But yeah, I think that was something I was fearful of when I was first looking into counseling, is that I would have to somehow sacrifice my faith or not be able to remain true to my moral obligations as a Catholic in doing counseling. And yeah, I've just discovered more and more that's not the case. You just have to, yeah, figure out how to do it and find ways that are important to you to be able to incorporate that into counseling.
That's really cool. It makes me think of how um, if the counselor is informed by the Catholic view of the human person, no matter who they're counseling, they're going to be showing that person like a love and a respect and a dignity that is valuable, right? And like the deepest core wound of most people can be, I'm not loved, I'm not worthy, right? I'm not good enough. And so our worldview directly counters that, no matter if you say that you're Catholic or not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jennifer?
Ask questions. We are here to learn. Dr. Larry is my supervisor, and it kind of became a joke of, Jennifer, I know you're going to have questions. What are your questions for me today? And I had to get clever in the way that I asked them, because he always would push me and say, well, what would you do in this situation? And he wouldn't
Put it
answer
back on
them.
you.
It would make me think bigger. So no, ask questions and know that this is a learning, it's our place to learn and always be learning. And in that respect, I used a lot of outside reading too to complement my studies and just get as many perspectives as I could. So learning, ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually jump off of that too to say that's also true for me, but not just in supervision. So recognizing that I'm not the expert in all things counselor, but also being able to do that with clients, like recognizing that there's a lot of ways that they're the expert on their life more than I am, and so being able to ask them questions that give me more information about their experience.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that. I am constantly asking the Holy Spirit to give me a good question.
Mm,
Like, Lord, help me have a good question for this person. Because I think we all know in counseling, if I discover it, if I have discovered it, whatever it is, it's so much more meaningful to me. So if I have discovered whatever the thing is about my own life, it stays with me longer. So if I can ask a good question that makes them get to the thing instead of telling them, it's so much better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anything from a culture perspective, I don't know if that question really applies, but is there anything culturally that y'all would add or?
I think just being mindful of culture, because even though we work with Rejoice, which people associate with Catholic worldview, there's a lot of different types of people that we still meet with, kind of like I mentioned earlier, varying degrees of expression of Catholic faith, various devotions, various cultural backgrounds that tie into their experience of their faith as well. Um, yeah, so um, yeah, kind of like what I said about like being curious about your client and being able to ask questions. I think that also remains true, even if they do identify as Catholic. Um, their expression of Catholicism might not be the same as yours, and they may struggle with some things that the Catholic Church teaches, even if they do identify as Catholic. So,
Yeah, that's what I was going to pig it. You said it perfectly, Joshua, but like understanding that cat Catholic expression of faith, as you put it, it looks different for everybody. You know, it's going to look different in different families.
Awesome. Well, before we move into question and answers, is there anything that you guys want to add?
I would just say thank you to any of my clients that have trusted me with their story and walked with me in this journey. So
yeah.
Absolutely, Jennifer. It's such a gift, right? To be able to be trusted with somebody's story. So.
yeah.